Everyone says Project Zomboid is one of the hardest survival games out there. Having never played it, I wasn't fully convinced and decided to give it a try. And this game kicked me so hard in the bum, I couldn't even manage to survive 5 hours, let alone a few days. So I challenged myself to survive 24 hours and I made a video on it, but that wasn't enough. This game had lit a fire inside me and I want to see how long can I actually survive without any experience. This is the previous video in a nutshell, but if you haven't seen it, I would love it if you watched it. It's pretty good. I jumped on the game and was instantly harassed by the hard mechanics of the game. I kept dying again and again. So I finally set aside my pride to boot up YouTube and look up a survival guide. I started learning the game death by death, and while slowly leveling up my skills, I made a character called Brad Slackshaw. This run turned out to be my best one yet. I got lucky with weapons, had developed some skills, and was prepared enough to survive for a while. And when I was losing motivation, Brad Slackshaw was my ray of hope, and I had finally survived a full 24 hours. But the worst had yet to come. This is the story of how I managed to survive 10 days in Project Zomboid with no experience. Day 2. I was feeling extremely confident after completing my first challenge and also needed to find some cigarettes to get rid of my moodle. So I had some breakfast and went scavenging to the nearby fire station, which was the perfect place to loot for a lumberjack. I very smoothly cleared and looted the whole station, but couldn't find any cigarettes. And if I want to survive for 10 days, I need to get rid of any troubling moodles. So I made my way to the police station and slowly cleared the whole place. I lucked out and found a pair of cigarettes. Yes! Cigarettes! Now how do I smoke? But now, after clearing 2 huge buildings, Brad had some built-up exhaustion. So I went back home, cleaned myself, and went to sleep. On the morning of day 3, I started looking for base locations because I wanted to build something myself, and I really liked the nearby lake and a place far away near a river. I don't know why, but I just like building near water, mainly because it looks so beautiful. But then I realized that I have no fucking idea how to build in this game and how hard it's gonna be. And in the meantime, I wanted to have a temporary base that was not in the middle of the city. Again, I don't know why, but I just wanted a secluded area. So I went on a roam towards the outskirts of the city and got a little lost in the woods. But eventually made my way to this house that seemed to be in the perfect place. Not too close, but not too far. I spent the rest of the day clearing and securing this house for the night. On day 4, while scavenging the neighboring house, an idea popped up into my poo-poo brain. I thought that I should go look for a car if I want to scout some base locations. What I didn't know was that I needed a specific set of skills to even start a car. Not aware of this, I made my way to a nearby school and started exploring this car when I made the stupidest mistake I could ever make. Just watch. Could you tell? Yes. My dumb poo-poo ass couldn't wait 5 seconds for the zombies to come to me. And I thought, whoa, luckily it wasn't a bite. I just got a laceration. I didn't care much about it. I put on a bandage and went about looting the entire school. After getting exhausted, I went back and went to sleep, completely oblivious to what was about to happen the next day. The morning of day 5, I was greeted with a new moodle, Queasy. I thought Brad had overworked himself and was coming down with a small fever, so I took things easy this day. I had a light breakfast and stayed home to read some books. But as the time passed by, my situation kept getting worse. Nausea and pain were starting to take over, which I thought was starting to get serious, so I went to take a nap. But I woke up to a disaster. I had every possible thing going wrong with me. It was getting scary. So I looked up what queasy meant and how to deal with it. The first problem could be a fever like I thought. And to fix that, I needed to eat things that uplifted my mood and also should keep resting. I had tried everything from resting, eating, good food, napping, taking off my clothes, but it didn't seem to work. It was clear. I was infected with the Nox virus. And I was extremely heartbroken, but I had to accept that I was going to die. So, in my last effort just to get a glimpse of my dreams, I started running towards the lake because I did not want to die sulking in my base and wanted to see what could have been. Now, getting chased by a horde, in pain, and extremely tired, in my desperate efforts to get a look at the lake, this could have been my house, and appreciate its beauty, I was overpowered and shredded to pieces. No! No! Brad's will of fire shall be passed on to the next survivors. Demotivated and broken, I went to sleep. But this would not be the end of my journey. This was merely the beginning and the foundation of what was to come. I woke up with even stronger determination as I wanted to survive 10 days in Project Zomboid and wasn't going to give up that easily. So I made a new character called Jamie Scoop, the veteran. Day 1. With an even greater desire to survive, I started my morning by looting while listening to Life and Living on the TV. I loaded up on food, however, the best weapon I could find was a fork. So I started making my way to the neighbors and only found a saucepan, which was decent but not good enough. Luckily, by the third house, I had found a baseball bat. And this weapon was about to become one of the key golden ingredients in my journey. Now, I slowly started making my way to the school in search of a backpack and was met with some small hurdles along the way. After carefully clearing the school and putting a marker on the library, I started upgrading my equipment. We went in looking like this and came out looking like that. And pretty confident with my gear, I started roaming and looting more houses. But I was quickly starting to gather a horde behind me. So I jumped the fence and went on scavenging. However, this house almost became my grave. While I was busy looting, this horde slowly made its way around the fences and towards my exact location. So I abandoned everything to make a run for it. But now, Jamie was starting to build up exhaustion, and I still needed a house to stay the night in. Luckily, I was in a rich neighborhood with large fences, which helped me sneak away from the zombies. I led the remaining few zombies to the backyard to quietly get rid of them. And since we had been running around for almost 12 hours now, major exhaustion had set in. I quickly cleared the house and went to sleep. So far, it was looking pretty good. By day 2, I had plenty of loot and wanted to start scouting for possible base locations. But a dense fog descended on the city and that wasn't gonna stop me. However, I almost died at the start of my roam. For some reason, Jamie was struggling to hop over the fence, which almost made us dinner for this horde. But eventually managing to escape, I made my way to the outskirts of the city and started scouting. I was hoping for a place that was secluded, was big for future builds, and did not have many exits. But I had no luck, as these were either huge public buildings or just food joints. No. Getting more and more disappointed while walking by each building, I finally ended up at a parking lot where I found some cars that looked pretty appealing. I had a look at their mechanics and found one in almost perfect condition. Sheesh, okay, that's true. So I marked it on my map and started walking again until I ended up at the police station, which didn't look that appealing at first, but once I made my way inside and started looting after clearing things up, luck had struck again, and I found loads of ammo, accessories, and weapons. which might not be of use right now, but will be of great help further in the future. So I marked them on the map. And don't worry, all these markings would soon connect to form a great story. Exhaustion started to creep in again, and there was no place around where I could sleep. So I picked up a loaded shotgun, put it beside my bench, just in case I woke up to a hazard at my doors, and fell asleep in this jail cell. It wasn't the best sleep I've had because I woke up in the middle of the night, so I just read a book while waiting for the sun to rise. Early in the morning, I started searching the map for places to explore because I wasn't fully satisfied with any place in the city, and also it was pretty dangerous right now. And I decided to explore this small town just north of the city. So I started making my way towards it, and on the way, I gathered a small hold. This was a perfect opportunity to test my combat skills. I started hammering zombies one by one as they fell over the fence, but even after 10 minutes of me doing this, the horde seemed to have no end to it. The durability of my weapon was going down, and along with it, my confidence, until it eventually broke. The only weapon left on me now was a half-broken baseball bat. I had overestimated myself, and with nothing to fight back with, I made a run for it into the forest. Hiding in the first house I came across, I cleaned myself and started looking for a weapon. And luckily, just across the street, I found a pipe wrench hidden in a cabinet. It was currently afternoon, but with all the running we've been doing, Jamie was getting drowsy, so we took a 1-hour nap and went scouting again. See, I had come to this town to look for possible base locations, but again, nothing really seemed to scratch that itch of finding my dream base. We still had the whole town to scout, so I hadn't given up yet. I went to house number 1, the cabins, the cemetery, and house number 2, and by the time I made my way to house number 3, Jamie had become inhumanly tired. This was the first time I saw this moodle, so I snuck back to a house I previously cleared and went to sleep. By this time, my hopes of finding a dream base were almost zero. Nothing in this town gave me the calling of a base. There were still a few houses left, but they were all the same, and if I wanted to survive 10 days or more, I needed a well-established place to call home. So I started formulating a plan on the morning of day 4. I'll go to the library today, get the books for the electrical and level up my electrical, pick up this car, pick up these guns, I go like this, pick up this, stay overnight here, go there, pick up that car, go here, pick up that ammo, then I can go explore. I was going on a big adventure, something I have never done before, and I'm gonna need a car for it. The plan. First, I make my way to the library. I find the mechanics and electrical books. Then I level up my mechanics and electrical to hotwire a car. I make my way to the parking lot where I previously marked the car. I pick up the car and load up on weapons from the police station. With all this, I get to stop 1 as soon as possible. Once I reach stop 1, I resupply, regenerate, and get ready for the big city. And the last step, get to the big city and find a cool base. This is the most ambitious plan. Hell, this is the first ever plan I've made in Project Zomboid. But something about that city says that I'll find a pretty cool base there. And the plan will start as soon as I acquire those skill books. So, I started making my way towards the library. When I was only halfway there, I realized it would get dark soon and Jamie was going to run out of stamina. That's when I spotted a fully barricaded house. I spent the remaining daylight hours securing the house for the night and dozed off. Again, I started making my way towards the library and saw a small crowd of zombies in the parking lot. But this time, instead of fighting them all at once, I tried a new tactic. I slowly snuck a bit closer to them and pulled away a single zombie from the crowd one by one. This tactic was working like a wonder. I wasn't panic fighting and had time to recover and think between each interaction. It feels like it takes longer than just mowing down a horde, But in reality, this is a much faster and cleaner way to dispose of zombies. By the time exhaustion started to set in, I had fully cleared the parking lot and enjoyed a beverage on top of the rotting bodies. I was pretty confident of the whole school being empty, but I still moved cautiously and managed to grab the books needed to level up from the library. Now, we needed a place to stay the night, so I made my way to the closest house, and using the same tactic, I cleared the zombies around it. After making it in, I turned on Life in Living and sat down by the TV to start reading the skill books. We spent the rest of day 5 and the whole of day 6 fully finishing the skill books for maximum profit. I also heard a heli outside. What the fuck? But don't know what that was about and decided to ignore it. And now the plan was in action. From the morning of day 7, I started disassembling any and every electronic item I could find in my current house and the neighboring houses. I spent the whole day doing this and also looting every single house in the vicinity. It was a win-win. I did this until the evening when again tiredness started to creep in. So I went back to one of the houses I previously cleared and noticed that I had started gaining weight. Jamie had to do some squats against his will. After leveling my electrical to level 1, I changed my focus to mechanical, and by this time it hit me that I had made 2 major stupid mistakes. The first one, multiple tools are required to disassemble and reassemble car parts, and one of the major ones was a wrench, which I had dropped earlier for a better weapon. Second, my poo-poo brain forgot that I was recording, and instead of looking back at the footage, I decided to search for a new wrench. And also, I had underestimated the time it would take to get my mechanics to level 2. So, I spent the entirety of day 8 going through every single house, every single bathroom and garage. And surprise, surprise, I had no luck. And the cherry on top was that I was being chased by a huge horde. And while running, I managed to injure myself while hopping a fence, which I think is because of the squats Jamie did earlier. But somehow I managed to escape and found shelter in a nearby house where I dozed off again. I woke up pretty early on day 9 and started searching for a wrench again, but realization set in that this was just a futile effort and getting my mechanics to level 2 with my current gear would take a week. This broke my spirit because hot wiring the car was the key to the success of my plan. But I hadn't fully given up yet. I continued on with the plan and started making my way to the marked car. However, I decided to take multiple detours. Along the way, I would hit any parking lot I see in hopes of finding the key to a decently maintained car. This was pretty risky, as it meant going through the center of the city, but I was desperate. I prayed to the Zomboid gods and had no luck in any of the parking lots. Until I got to the marked car. I found the car keys. But not to this beautiful and fully intact car, but to the shady pickup truck that seemed to be on its last legs. I don't know how I looked over this the last time I was here, because the keys were right there on the ground all this time. I was not at all confident about driving this truck. So, in hopes of finding another key, I started looting this mall, but while I was snooping around in the second store, a crowd of zombies noticed me and started breaking in. Seeing that Jamie was pretty tired and drowsy, I ran away and hid in the closest house that felt safe enough. Here, I also discovered that you can infinitely repair a spiked baseball bat to full health just using nails. This seems pretty OP. I rested up and got ready to pull off my most ambitious plan. The morning of day 10, I realized that I had no tool to siphon fuel from other cars. So I spent the whole morning going through houses and garages in hopes of finding a gas can. But with no luck, I instead picked up some empty water bottles. Today, I was feeling extra confident. So this time, I made my way to the parking lot through the front entrance of the mall. I started heading up my car by slowly filling up the gas tank, and loading it up with some loot from the mall. I also found a tire pump at the back of the truck, which I used to fully inflate the tires. And just readying up the car and gearing up both mentally and physically took the entire afternoon. After filling the gas tank up to 70% and storing some backup fuel in the truck, at 4 p.m. of day 10, I finally started up a car for the first time ever in Project Zomboid. The plan was divided into multiple steps. Step 1. Secure and start up the car. Step 2. Get to the police station and secure the perimeter. Step 3. Load up on loot from both the stations. Step 4. Start making my way towards stop 1. Sub-step. Actually survived the journey. Step 5. Secure a house at stop 1. It took me a while to get the horde away from the station, and by the time I got there, Jamie started getting tired, and instead of doing all this while exhausted, I took some sleeping pills and dozed off in the jail cell, but woke up really early on day 11, which actually came in clutch. In the cover of the night, I picked up all the guns and ammo, wrapped them in a plastic bag, and slowly put them in the back of the pickup truck. With still some time before sunrise, I made my way to the gas station and started loading up on food. I gathered everything that seemed light but fulfilling into a garbage bag and tossed them in the back of my truck. Now, all the conditions were complete, so I started making my way to stop 1. However, this day would be a test of my skills and courage, as a really dense fog descended upon the whole map. I went as slow as I possibly could in this vehicle, because on top of the fog, I had to be careful not to hit any zombies along the way, as even the slightest damage to the car could lead to engine failure, and that would mean my death.
It would all be so much easier without the fog.
But not everything goes your way in Project Zomboid. I hit a zombie and the engine turned off.
That is awesome. Oh no! My ignition turned off. No! Don't turn off, buddy.
I won't lie, in the middle of nowhere, with zombies all around me and this dense fog haunting me, I shit my pants. Jamie kept desperately trying to start up the truck, and after 3-4 tries, somehow it was revived. Slowly I navigated in the dense fog and was starting to make my way out of the forest. But now, we kept encountering huge hordes on the road, and the engine was playing games with us. It kept turning off randomly, giving us mini heart attacks, and finally by afternoon, the fog had lifted. I was so close to my destination, and it felt like if I stop this car, it won't start up again. So I kept going, passing by the lake. Slowly but surely, I finally made my way to stop 1. But as this place was really close to the big city, it had a decent population of zombies, and my pickup truck was extremely noisy, which pulled the whole crowd towards me. I made my way into a parking lot, turned off the engine and jumped the fence, temporarily ditching my truck and ran as far as possible in search for a safe house. Because Jamie was starting to get extremely tired after what we've been through on this hell of a day. I marked the truck on my map as it was inevitable that I had to come back to it. All my loot was still in the back. My car is around here. After fully clearing the house, I forgot to secure the outside, and another huge crowd of zombies noticed me. They started walking towards us, but Jamie was extremely tired and there was no way to fight back this big of a horde. And ignoring them was not an option unless I want to become human noodles by morning. So I took a gamble. I walked outside and gathered them behind me while slowly walking away from the house.
Is this what city life is? What the fuck?
I led them away to a comfortable distance and made a run for it around the houses, hopping fence by fence until I was back to my house. I cleaned myself in the shower, went out and took a sigh of relief. I had finally completed my plan, And even after we were met with so many hurdles, we powered through. And now here I am, clean and happy at stop 1. I have finally survived 10 days. However, this was only the first half of the master plan. My original goal is to make my way to the city and find the perfect base. And if you enjoyed watching till this point, leave a like and subscribe to the channel so that I can start the second half of my journey. See ya!